I remember years ago, I used to play the game Minecraft, and I would play on survival mode where you have to fend for yourself and collect your food and grow your food and fight off zombies and monsters, and you'd have to go mining to get the resources, and you had to do everything yourself. So I had to build the dirt house for the first night to try and survive, and then I'd go mining and get coal to make a furnace to cook food, and then I'd get a garden, and then I'd expand the garden. And long story short, it would get to the point where, weeks down the road of playing this game, I've mined all the diamonds and I have all the best armor and I have this beautiful house and I don't need to go hunting for food because I have a farm and a garden and I've built this absolute kingdom around me. I have roller coasters and entertainment and all this fun, and I have this mansion that I live in, and there's no need to go out because I've explored all the territory of my map and I don't need anything. And I remember I would find myself sitting there in the game, and I'm just kind of looking around, sort of observing my kingdom that I've built, my mansion, my world all around me. And I was kind of just like walking around it and looking around, and I was just admiring it and appreciating it. But what came with that, of admiring the completion, the work I had done, how I reached the peak point of getting all the stuff, and I've beaten all the missions and all this stuff, what came with that was a feeling of boredom, a feeling of meaninglessness, a feeling of it lost its purpose. I did what I wanted to do, and now here I am, and if I want food, it's over there. If I want armor, it's over there. If I want diamonds, they're right there. I've beaten all the missions. I've gotten all the achievements. It's all completed. So now what? Now what? And it was like I ran the entertainment and the goal-oriented drive in that game. It was like I ran it dry. And I remember I would just be sitting there in the game looking around like, what should I do? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to build. I don't know what to do. I don't want to go mining. You know what I mean? And that was the first example to me of something that I've been increasingly realizing in my life. And I want to give one more example before I really crack open the egg of what I'm sharing here. But I remember, if you've ever heard of the game Skyrim, really awesome game. I used to play it years ago, same with Minecraft. And Skyrim was this sort of fantasy game based in old ancient times and all this stuff. I'm not going to get into details, but nevertheless, it was the kind of game where there's a storyline and missions and levels and quests, and you have to upgrade and beat enemies and all this stuff. The video game vibes, you know what I mean? I remember one time when I remember the time that I discovered the God Room. Now, the God Room was a mod that I could download on my Xbox, which is what I was playing with at the time, and I downloaded the God Room, and now I have all the potions. I can use any of the spells. I have all the weapons, all the armor, no food bar, no health bar. I can travel wherever I want in an instance. I can level myself up. I can max out my perk tree. I can go anywhere in the world. I can do any mission I want to do. I can make myself invincible. I'm God. I can do anything I want in that game. And I did that, and at first it was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Look at all these potions. I'm wearing the best armor in the game. Oh my god, that spell is crazy. I enchanted that spell so well, and holy crap, this is crazy. I'm gonna travel here, I'm gonna travel there, I'm gonna do it all. Now, within, I'd say, less than a week, I had essentially ruined the game Skyrim for myself. I ruined it. I ruined the fun and the amusement and the creativity and the grind by downloading that God Room mod on my game. And what happened was there was no incentive to keep going. There was nothing, there was no purpose because I'd completed what I thought the purpose was. And it turns out that the grind is where the fun is. The drive and the striving and the growing is where the fun is. And this isn't just confined to Skyrim and Minecraft. My friends, this bleeds out into all of life, where we have this goal. We think once I'm rich, once I have a partner, once I'm fit, once I live there, once I have a business, once I'm this, once I have that, once I get rid of that, then I'll be happy. Wake up Monday morning, once it's Friday, then I'll be happy. Once I have this much money in the bank, then I'll be happy. You're traveling somewhere, once I get there, then I'll be happy. That's what it's all about, is getting to the destination. You're going on dates with this person, and you're growing, and you're vibing, and you're enjoying each other's time. Once we're dating, then I'll be happy. And then when you're dating, once we're married, then I'll be happy. Once we move in together, then I'll be happy. We're postponing our happiness because of the goal we have in mind, because we think there's gold at the end of the rainbow. We're essentially chasing the end of the rainbow, thinking there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, never realizing that it's the joy and excitement of chasing that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that is more fun than this presumed pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We miss sight of that. And I've done this so much in my life. We wake up Monday and we live for the weekend. We get a partner and we fantasize about more and more and more and more and more, never taking a moment to enjoy where we're at. When you're exercising and you're getting more and more fit, you have an image in mind, you have a goal in mind where you want to get to, an end point. And you it's hellish, and it's this striving grind of, I'm not yet there, so I can't yet be happy. I need to keep going, I need to keep fighting for it. And then once I get fit, then I'll be happy. Okay, let's go a few months down the road, a couple years down the road, now you're fit. Okay, now what? You're juiced out of your head. Awesome. It's you begin to realize the more this happens, where you have a goal in mind, and once you get it, you realize that that's not where happiness lies, but rather happiness lies in the present moment right now while you're watching this video, enjoying the process, enjoying the movement and the growth. When that happens to you enough, you'll begin to realize that where your happiness starts is right now. As you're watching this video, right now is where you will find your happiness. Your happiness doesn't lie in a bigger check. Your happiness doesn't lie in another part of the world. Your happiness doesn't lie in another human being in your life. Your happiness doesn't lie in a certain weight. Your happiness doesn't lie in a certain hobby. Your happiness is right here. And in my opinion, what it means to be wise and cultivate wisdom is the capacity you have to be happy now. Be happy right now. Now, happy doesn't always mean pleasurable. Happy means sort of content, able to bear the moment. Because just being happy right now doesn't mean bad stuff isn't going to happen. It doesn't mean horrible things aren't going to happen. Misfortunes and setbacks and rough days and bad days and sad things. Being happy now doesn't excuse all of that. But being happy more so means being content and being able to remain grounded amidst the throes of life, the chaos and turmoil that will inevitably come your way in life. But see, so many of us live for tomorrow. I've noticed this pattern so many times at work, where I get to work and it's like 10 more hours, once I get home, then I can really kick back. And then I get home and I'm like waiting for the next thing. I'm like playing my game, and it's like once another hour goes by, then once I'm doing that, then I can relax. Then once I'm doing that, then I can relax. And I wait for the evening so that in the evening I can wait to go to bed. It's this constant putting off of my contentment, of my happiness. You know what I mean? And not only on Monday morning waiting for the end of the day, but waiting for the weekend. 4 more days, then I can relax. I can't possibly relax while I'm going to work every day. That's impossible. I can't be happy while I'm going to work. My happiness must lie in the weekend. But guess what? Right now is the weekend for me. And it's the only difference is I have more time to find the happiness right here, right now. I have more time to say, okay, what am I going to do to develop contentment and happiness right now? You know what I mean? We live for the future. We think the future is where our happiness is, but that's the biggest scam we've ever been taught. You know, when you go into the school system, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And get good grades, and you go to school and you get good grades, and there's this building feeling, and then you're in middle school, and then you're in high school, and now it's like, what do you really want to do? You got to keep your grades up or else you're going to be kept back. What do you want to do? So you pick something, and then you graduate high school, and then you go to college for this thing. And then you get the job and you land that career and you're doing it and a few months or a few years goes by of being in the supposed completion of your dream, of your goal that everybody said is where your happiness lies. And eventually you start to realize that you've been had. You've been gypped. You got lied to. You got convinced that your happiness lied 20 years in the future, a year in the future, a day, a week in the future, a day in the future. You got convinced that your happiness was somewhere other than right here, right now. And come 35, 40 years old, you go, huh? What? Did I miss something? Why am I not happy? I have the home, I have the wife, I have the partner, I have the kids, I have the good job, I have the good income. I go on vacations every year, I'm healthy. Why am I not happy? Because the past 3 decades, you've been wiring in this neural pathway, this sort of psychological habit and tendency that happiness is something you achieve, that happiness is something you get eventually. So you've built a life, you've built a foundation on sand. You've built a foundation where happiness isn't something you feel now, but rather happiness is this sort of carrot out in front of your head that you're perpetually chasing. You're perpetually going after it, you know? Like, there's been so many times where I achieved the thing I wanted to do, right? Like, probably over a year ago now, I published a book. It's a beautiful book, by the way, if you want to check it out. Link in the description. But I published this book, and I'd been working on this book for like 2 years. And I remember when the wave hit me to make this book, it was this tsunami of inspiration and motivation and passion. And every single day for the next almost 3 years, I worked on this book. I would come home, do what I needed to do, and then I'd sit at my computer and I'd write. I'd write every day. I wrote when I didn't want to write. I revised. I read this over 800-page book like 3 different times. It was exhausting. I was overcome with all this doubt. Oh, this is stupid. This isn't gonna work. You're not gonna complete this. And I kept going. And it was this transformation of my life of wanting to create something so badly that I persevere and I push through all that doubt. And then it got to the point where I published the book. Poof, the book has been published. Okay. And literally, almost within a few days, it was in a way irrelevant. I had achieved it. The high that I imagined getting from publishing the book was the sort of the fuel that pushed me towards it, but it wasn't something that I didn't get something from completing the book. It wasn't, now I'm happy. I felt very satisfied, very accomplished, and I'm so glad I published this book, and it feels so good to me, and sort of that drive is what it takes to complete our goals and our tasks and our visions. But the idea is that I didn't get this magic Easter egg of happiness once I'd completed the book. I thought it was going to be like the most amazing thing of my life ever. But it wasn't. It was normal. It was like, yeah, I wrote a book. Let's go. That's awesome. Now what? Same thing in Minecraft. Yeah, okay, I have this beautiful kingdom around me and everything I ever wanted in the game. But what do I do now? How do I spend my time? I've already done everything I wanted to do. Or in Skyrim, okay, I have everything. There's no missions for me to do. I've done them all. I've beaten all the bad guys. I've done everything. What now? That was the same feeling when I completed this book. You know, and I've had that experience with so many different things in my life where once I achieve it, it's not the high that I thought it was going to be. And when you level up when you complete something, when you achieve something, there's this looking out. There's this further looking out. And when you're looking out at something, you eventually get to that thing if you have determination and drive and inspiration and motivation and all those things, which are beautiful qualities. But once you get to that thing, you aren't just happy forever now. You know what I'm saying? When you get to that thing, you level up, and now your eyes are out on the future again. It's something it's been built into our minds. It's been hammered into our minds that happiness and contentment could not possibly be right here, right now, but is rather something that lies in the completion of a goal, of a dream, of a vision, of acquiring something or acquiring someone. We think it's out here. You know, I have this really far out example of, years ago, me, my brother, and my friend were all tripping on acid at a fire in the middle of the night, hanging out, and my dad had gone down to Kentucky to get married to this girl, And I remember it was the middle of the night, it was like 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm tripping, and my dad sends me a message. It's a photo of him, and he's smiling next to this lady that I've never seen before in my life. And in the text, he says, everything is gonna be awesome now. Like he sent me the picture of him getting married. He had just proposed, he had just married her. And he said, everything is gonna be awesome now. And in reading that, I immediately knew that's bullshit. That's not true. I knew intuitively, obviously, that's not true. Just because you got married doesn't mean everything is gonna be awesome now. And guess what? They're divorced. They've been divorced for almost 3 years now. How does everything is gonna be awesome now translate to the reality of how it is now? It's this idea that it lies in getting something. My dad was under the impression that he got what it was. He got happiness. He grabbed it. He found it. Aha, I've got happiness. Everything is going to be amazing now. Or those who want to be fit. Oh my God, everything is going to be amazing now. Once you get fit, there we go. You know what I mean? Or if you want to be financially stable and have your own business, you get your business, you're financially stable. There we go, I'm happy now. But you begin to realize once you get to that spot, once you get to that thing, that it slips right through your fingers. It goes right through your fingers. Once I complete this book, then everything will begin. My life will start. I'll feel so good and whole and complete and accomplished. And then I complete the book. What now? We've been conditioned to think that happiness is something we achieve. A goal is something you achieve. Happiness is something you have right now. Happiness, if anything, is that which makes getting the goal or accomplishing the goal worth it. We postpone our happiness and we lock it up in a little golden box off in the future and say, I need to get that. That's where my happiness is. But see, what we've done is we've taken the happiness out of our heart, put it off in this imagined future, which isn't even here yet, and said, once this happens, then I'll be happy. But happiness is something you learn to develop right here and right now. Happiness is something that, the idea of what I'm saying here is that you begin to realize that it's the grind that's fun. It's not necessarily getting that thing that's fun. What makes getting that thing fun and fulfilling and satisfying is the work you had to do to get there. Because in getting there, in accomplishing your goal, it becomes apparent to you how resilient you are, how determined you are, how much you have what it takes, how strong you are, how smart you are, how able you are, how possible things are for you. You realize that in getting the goal, it's sort of it validates the legitimacy of the process to get there. if that makes sense. It validates the strength you have, the determination you have, the courage you have. But see, once we get it, and that sort of immediate high of getting it wears off, we realize that it wasn't really getting it that was the fun thing. The fun thing was the journey. And so what do? We find another goal. We out-extend our perspective. We look for something else. You know, you think of people that cheat in relationships, it's because they're addicted to the high they get from building up that feeling. And then when they get with that person and they settle down, boring, not enough. This isn't fun. This is boring. I'm gonna go and find another person to build another fantasy with, and then I'll cheat on them when I settle down with them. You see, it's this process of wanting to get high off of thinking that happiness is something you're gonna get, you know? But every single time you will be let down again and again and again until you begin to realize, or maybe you don't realize, that your happiness lies right now and the perspective in which you're looking at the world. You know? Like, I've seen so many, like, I think it was Jim Carrey who said, I wish everybody could be rich and famous and have everything that they wanted so that they can realize that that's not what makes them happy. And, you know, Jim Carrey is this guy that went from, like, kind of nothing to this millionaire. And then he had like this spiritual awakening. I encourage you when at the end of this video, look up Jim Carrey's spiritual awakening, and it's profound. He woke up to God. He woke up to the inner awareness behind Jim Carrey-ness. He realized the fallacy, the illusory nature of his ego. And in that, he realized that everything he built, the legacy, the kingdom that he'd built of Jim Carrey, was an illusion. And he was wondering, why am I so depressed? Why am I so depressed? And that's sort of what catalyzed that awakening. He touched into a place that was beyond the paradigm of Jim Carrey and realized, oh my God, the reason I'm depressed is because I thought happiness was this thing I get once I get here. Once I'm this successful, once I have this much money, then I'll be happy. And then once he had it, a deep despair began to mount within him because he couldn't comprehend that he was depressed because his success isn't enough, because he'd been taught all his life that happiness lies in where he's at, being successful. You know? And I think it was I heard Will Smith share relatively the same thing of how you know, he said it's one thing to be poor and, you know, not be able to support yourself and not be able to put a roof over your head. He said that's one kind of scary. But he said it's a whole other kind of scary to have all the money in the world, have a huge mansion, have a yacht, go on all the vacations, travel the world whenever you want, but you wake up on the weekend and you don't want to do any of it because you've done it all. And you can do it all, but you don't want to. He said that's a whole other level of scary. That's a whole other level of poverty, of scarcity. And we've all seen it time and time again where the rich, famous guy is unhappy, miserable, mean, an absolute gremlin. But then the street sweeper or the cashier or the garbage man, the janitor, is an absolute saint of a being. There's a twinkle in his eye. His demeanor is so light and so inviting and so contagious with love and happiness and presence. Poverty is an emotional state. It's not an external state. Now, I've had people tell me, like, I think in a sort of privileged kind of way, but see, when you look at, like another example I use here is like people in the Holocaust. There were people making jokes. There were people creating light of the situation. There were people sharing and rationing their little bits of food to other people. There were people happy in that setting. Now, if the Holocaust isn't an example of how happiness doesn't depend on your external circumstances, I don't know what the hell is. Happiness is something you generate. We are the generators of happiness. Another person, or a crisp dollar bill, or a certain location in the world is not the generator of happiness. You are the generator of happiness. And if you're unhappy, it may be worth considering, have I created a condition where I'm postponing my happiness thinking that it lies somewhere other than right here, right now? I remember a couple years ago, I went to California. I went to Mount Shasta, and it was such a beautiful vision. I'm gonna go to Mount Shasta, and I'm gonna experience, my hat just fell over there. I'm gonna experience all this spiritual abundance and all this beauty and all this joy. And I remember, dude, first of all, it was a beautiful experience. There's no doubt about that. It was a profound time looking back on it. But I remember I went to California, and I'm sitting up on Mount Shasta, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to swear there. I'm sitting there meditating, and I'm kind of like, okay, so now what? I'm on Mount Shasta, I'm meditating, and I wasn't content. I wasn't satisfied. I was looking for something other than where I am. I was looking elsewhere. So this is why it's said the only zen that you're gonna find at a mountaintop, the only happiness that I'm gonna find sitting up on Mount Shasta, is the happiness that I bring up there with me. That's a profound quote, and it speaks to precisely what I'm talking about here. Where happiness is not something you find once and for all somewhere, or in someone, or in something. Happiness is something you develop. Happiness is something you learn how to be right now. It's not something you're going to get. When you accomplish something that shows you that, and then you get happy, all that's showing you is that you're treating the external world as a trigger for you to give yourself permission to be happy. You know, I had somebody in my live stream the other night, ask me, can I get high naturally? Can I go into altered states of consciousness at will? And, I thought about it for a minute, and, what I came to realizing is that's kind of what wisdom is. That's kind of what living from a high vibration is getting high on your own supply. Where I am becoming more and more sensitized to realizing when I'm stooping into a lower vibrational state. And when I stoop into that low vibrational state, I begin to think and I begin to think, act, and perceive the world in a low vibrational way. And it only makes sense, where when I'm angry, everything makes me angry. When I'm sad, everything is depressing. When I'm feeling lack and scarcity, everything is scarce. Everything is unavailable to me. So when I stoop into that lower vibrational state, I've began to develop the methods and process of allow, let go. Because when you try to fight your way out of that state, it's resistance, and that resistance perpetuates it. It's like putting wood on the fire. So when I drop into that low state, I allow, I let go. And eventually it's like just sitting and watching the fire die out, rather than stoking it up and wondering why it's still going. You sit back and you watch the fire die out. And see, here's the thing. When you let go and you allow that state to be, you will naturally come back up into a high vibrational state. Happiness and high vibes is our natural state. But the way we're living our life and the way we're perceiving things and the things we believe in, that happiness is out here, we're disempowering ourselves. We're depriving ourselves of the enjoyment and satisfaction that we can feel right now because we think it's worthwhile to put that happiness out in the future. We've been taught that it's so. We've been taught that our happiness is in an amount of money or a certain career or a partner or a certain fitness level. Or if you're able to sing or dance or ski, or once I'm good at this, then I'll be happy. It's not out there, it's within you. It's within you right now. If you've ever heard of the teacher Ram Dass, Ram Dass has such a deep place in my heart. He is like, if you want to know how my mind works, just go listen to a video of Ram Dass talking. Just listen to one of his lectures. It's profound. But Ram Dass, the beautiful teacher, used to be a Harvard professor back in the mid-1900s, 1950 or whatever, you know? And he started to realize, you know, he was a Harvard professor, big, bad, awesome, successful professor in the best college around, you know what I'm saying? Really prestigious, really high, really successful. But you know what? He wasn't happy. He was not happy. He said there was this constant feeling of like with everything I've been taught about getting the job and having the money and being successful and all this, he's like, I should really be grooving right now. But I'm not. And my colleagues aren't either. We all come to Harvard and be psychologists from 9 to 5. And then we all go home and we're miserable. We're miserable for the rest of the night. And Ram Dass started to wonder, why am I not happy? And he started to realize that he'd been gypped. Like I said a moment ago. He got lied to. He got led on. Thinking that happiness lied in a potential, a particular position in life, financially, or your career, or whatever. And he started to realize that this isn't enough. This isn't where my happiness is. My happiness lies elsewhere. And then that's the beginning of the end of Ram Dass's transformation into who we knew him to be today. You know, but the idea is that don't live for tomorrow. Right now, as you watch this video, if you're still here, when this video ends and it clicks off, I want you to realize happiness is something you cultivate within you right now. When you feel restless, when you feel sad, when you feel angry, when you feel caught up in the emotional turmoil of life, take a moment to step back, breathe, pull yourself together, come back into the moment, let go, and realize, here I am. And right now, there is more potential to be happy and to be fulfilled than anywhere else. Because anywhere else is a concept and it isn't a reality. The future doesn't exist. So if your happiness is in the future, your happiness doesn't exist. So work on cultivating and developing happiness right here, right now. And if you're striving for something, a goal or a job or a business or whatever it is that you're striving for, or even if you're homeless and you're working towards having a home and having a job and this kind of stuff, or if you're in the honeymoon phase of a relationship, or if you're going to the gym every single day, I want to emphasize that right now is the richest and most invigorating part of that journey. Remember being a kid and going, I want to be an adult. And now here we are, adults, realizing how beautiful it was to be a kid. Don't put your happiness out in front of you. Don't rob yourself of the beauty of this moment now because you think it lies in somewhere in the future. Enjoy the process. Enjoy it now. Don't postpone your happiness. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, leave a like on this video because it helps this video perform so much better and it helps get it recommended to people like you who may need to hear this kind of stuff. Leave a subscribe if you like this content. I post stuff like this every single week. And yeah, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you all in the next one.